What would you attempt to do if you absolutely knew you could not fail? Would you do the job that you're currently doing now? If you didn't have to do that work? You see, herein lies the problem. Imagine if the entire world were financially free, all 7 billion of us. Who is going to do all those important jobs to keep order in our society? If no one wants to work out in the cold and the rain building houses, where will we live? Who will run the hotels for us while we're relaxing in the sun? Who's going to cook the food? So you see, as a species, there has to be some way of ensuring we can thrive. And the best way nature has discovered of doing that is to make it sufficiently difficult for the masses, that's those not born into a privileged position, to make it through the jungle. So through conditioning the minds and beliefs of the masses, nature keeps order in the ranks. There becomes a balance between the served and the serving. There is a great book by Scott Alexander called Rhinoceros Success. And in it, he talks about when you are trying to become successful, the importance of becoming a rhino, developing a thick skin and a strong heart to survive the dangers of the jungle. And that's what I want to spend a few minutes talking to you about today. So imagine in your mind, on one side we have the pastures where the cows live, and in the middle there is the jungle where the rhinos are making their way through. And then on the far side of the jungle is the land of paradise, full of choices and freedom and high aspirations, where all the rhinos who have made it through the jungle live. Anything of any significance you want to do can only be achieved on the other side of the jungle. Volunteer victims of the system, cows do not believe they can take control of their own destiny. Cows live in the pastures. They spend their days doing the same things. And they like it in the pastures because they feel safe. Cows are passive creatures. They voluntarily give up their freedom for a mediocre existence, risk-free, regular income, pension benefits to give them 30% of what they couldn't live on in the first place, maybe some insurance, a company car. Cows will give you their life for it, just to say secure in the pastures. If it's easy, they want it. If it's comfortable, they'll take it. If it's normal and traditional, they're open to it. And if all the other cows are doing it, it must be the right thing to do. They are just as capable as rhinos, but lack belief. In fact, nearly everyone starts out life as a cow. They live in fear. This is what fear stands for: false evidence appearing real. A cow's favourite word is security. A rhino's favourite word is opportunity. If opportunity to a cow is nowhere, for a rhino it's now here. Everything cows do is based on tight budgets. Rhinos in training do the same thing, but they keep pushing through. So what do you think a cow says after 40 years of hard labour in the pastures? Moo! They're cows, remember? The problem is 90% of people are cows. Rhinos do realise that there is danger in the jungle. But if it was easy, there would be no reward in it. Then we would have the problem that I mentioned at the beginning, social imbalance. Kind of like too many chiefs and not enough Indians. Easy is not an option for a rhino. It's easy to be broke. It's easy to sit all day long in the pastures and watch TV. It's easy to just sit back and watch your life pass you by. It's easy to be miserable, unhappy, over or underweight. It's easy to give up on your freedom. It's always easier to do nothing than to take action. If success was easy, guess what? It wouldn't be success. It would be mediocrity. If you keep doing what you've been doing, you will keep getting what you've been getting. It isn't rocket science. Some people let things happen. Some people make things happen. Rhinos take massive action to make things happen, and the rest of the cows look up from the pastures and wonder what the heck happened. Cows don't believe in creation. They believe only in competition. They live lives of sparsity. Don't focus on the problems, focus on the solutions. With thought, what you want is brought to you. With action, it is received. Even though we can understand that as rhinos, we can take our lives to levels we could not previously even conceive, it is still going to be a tough, hard journey. And this is precisely the reason such a small percentage of rhinos enter the jungle in the first place. Throughout the journey, a young rhino will be tested to see if he or she should even be in the jungle in the first place. This is where we introduce the interferers of magic, Murphy's Committee. Everyone has heard the term Murphy's Law. If something can go wrong, it probably will. The truth is, out of the 10% of rhinos that enter the jungle, only 30% will survive to the other side. The rest will either die in the jungle or return to the pastures, and they end up dead or dead broke. So at this point, if you're feeling a little uncomfortable with the analogy of cows and rhinos, then I guess it means one of two things. Either you have been so systematically conditioned as a cow and you are struggling with the idea that you could one day be a super successful rhino, or you are a rhino in training and you're wondering why the hell you've been hanging around in the pastures for all this time in the first place. Well, if you are the first one and you can't open up your neurons to accept that you can become a rhino, because the truth is anyone can, if they truly want to, then it's best that you gracefully remain in the pastures and work on being the best cow that you possibly can. And by the way, remember, we do need cows. We respect cows because they play a very important role in society. I do not want to imply any contempt for cows here. On the other hand, if you are a rhino in training, or if you are a cow but you have a small spark of rhino desire or spirit, and you are prepared to hang on in there, hang on to your seats because the challenge has only just begun, and you will be tested many times before you reach the land of paradise at the end of the jungle. You will receive a visit from all 5 members of Murphy's Committee, and you better be ready because they are sent to test your will, to test your resolve, to test if you deserve to make it through the jungle. You have to remember, not everyone can make it through the jungle. If that was so, if it was so easy, we as a society would be in big trouble. Everyone is born with the spirit of a rhino. We have just been conditioned to remain as cows. You have the capacity to create a heaven on earth if you would just choose to. And you don't have to go through hell to find it. So here is how you develop a big rhino skin so that you can survive the visits from Murphy's Committee and make it to the other side of the jungle. Remember, only 3% of the population will make it through the jungle to the other side. Murphy's Committee is a council of 5 who have set up an operation in the universe to test a person's level of commitment to their goals, dreams, and aspirations. In short, what that person is pursuing. Their main job is to see if they can stop as many people as they can from entering the jungle, and then to prevent them from reaching the other side. If they do their job properly, they will prevent too many people reaching the other side and therefore causing an imbalance of power and resulting in social chaos. Therefore, once you commit to enter the jungle, you better be prepared for the visits from the various council members of Murphy's Committee. All I'm trying to do right now is prepare you for your journey through the jungle. The fact you are watching this video tells me you have probably unknowingly committed already to enter the jungle. Up until now, you have no idea exactly what that entails. And my job is to help you get ready for the visits from the various committee members. If you are forewarned, you are forearmed. If you know what to expect before it happens, it will be much easier for you to recognise which of the 5 members of Murphy's Committee is visiting you and how you can deal with it. Also, as Murphy's Committee shows up, your rhino skin will get thicker and thicker, and you'll need that to survive the ravishes of the jungle. Oh, and one last thing. Why are you putting yourself through this? What is your reason? Now, I know for certain you have heard the statement that your why is the single most important thing that you need to have written somewhere in stone, blood, indelible ink, or whatever. And it's true, absolutely true. And as we go through each member of Murphy's Committee, you will begin to understand why. Your reason is the single most powerful force that will help you remain in the jungle long enough to reach the land of paradise on the other side. My mother used to say to me, nothing is impossible. She never really had much, but what she did have was an unfailing strength of character, and thankfully the one thing she refused to do was tell me to be realistic. the biggest gift you can give your kids is an unwavering belief in themselves. None of us has the right to steal the dreams of another human being, no matter how young they are. Here are some of the tactics that Murphy's Committee will pull on you to try and get you to leave the jungle. Murphy number 1 sends in your friends and family. They'll tell you to stop dreaming, to get a proper job in the pastures. They warn you of all the dangers of being in the jungle. For one, there's no regular paycheck in the jungle. They will say that you belong as a cow. They love you and they don't mean any harm to you, but they're afraid for you. They worry that you're going to make a fool of yourself, that you will lose everything, that no one else in your family has ever entered the jungle, so what makes you think you can succeed? Maybe they are casualties of the jungle themselves, and they don't want you to make the same mistake that they have. But either way, they are desperate for you to leave the jungle, and this is the number 1 reason most people leave the jungle. This shot from Murphy number 1 takes out more rhinos in training than any of the others. This is the toughest committee member of all to beat. But if you survived this visit, you would have put the first thick layer of rhino skin on and you are well on your way to making it through to the other side. Some people are more in tune with their rhino spirit, so they ignore Murphy number 1 and they keep charging through the jungle. Now it's time for Murphy number 2 to go to work on you. He will try to get you into debt. He'll make it difficult for you to pay your bills. He figures if you're struggling even to pay bills and attempts to get you into the pain of debt that will surely get you to quit the jungle and return to the pastures, where you can get a secure job so you don't have to worry about paying those pesky bills. This is a highly effective strategy to get rhinos to leave the jungle, and in fact, many of them do. The few that remain in the jungle are laughed at by Murphy number 3 because he knows that his powerful strategy is surely going to make people leave the jungle. Murphy number 3 plays heavily with your emotions. The strategy that he set up on me was he introduced me to a beautiful young woman from the pastures. I set up home with this beautiful young woman and for a while tried to live peacefully in the cow pastures. But it was short-lived. I became restless and irritated. The rhino horn was growing out from the top of my head. I was a rhino and I belonged in the jungle. Eventually, I returned to the jungle without her. Cows and rhinos don't usually get along too well together. Cows can't handle the excitement and risk of the jungle, and rhinos can't handle the boredom of the pastures. I vowed after that experience that I would never again try to build up a relationship with a cow, no pun intended, and that I would only build a serious relationship with rhinos in training. Rhinos are constantly talking about positive things, about their dreams and their goals and their jungle adventures, and they talk about bringing their cow into the jungle so they can get through to the other side together. Cows get nervous when rhinos start talking about these things, and inevitably the rhino will return to the jungle without the cow. Only a handful of people make it past Murphy number 3. So if you make it past number 3, then Murphy number 4 and 5 are determined to stop you. Getting past Murphy number 3 is a major breakthrough. By now you are actually embracing the atmosphere of the jungle. Your rhino skin's thickening up nicely, and you even start to teach the newcomers to the jungle what they need to do to survive the jungle. Okay, let us continue our journey through the jungle. Several months and possibly years have passed since you entered the jungle. And you may look and smell pretty bad by this time. All your friends and family members from the pastures are thinking that you've actually lost your mind. They just don't understand why you wouldn't return to the security of the pastures. Oh well, you're used to it by this time. Your skin is so thick now, you can survive the penetration of virtually any arrow. So you continue to punch forward, and all of a sudden you come to a stinking swamp. You realise there's no way around it. The only option is forward. If you want to reach the land of paradise, the only way is to get right in there, get into that stinking mass. At this point, a lot of rhinos return to the pastures, where they are embraced and celebrated by their friends. Some rhinos hesitate for a while on the banks of the swamp to sharpen their horns before they jump in. And then there are the few brave souls who decided to just go for it. And they immerse themselves into that stinking, putrefying mass. And Murphy number 4 and Murphy number 5 are laughing at you. But at the same time, they're impressed. They know so few rhinos get this far, and they can't help to be impressed. Even so, Murphy number 4, along with Murphy number 5, will shoot all sorts of arrows at you in one final effort to make you surrender. This is where everything seems that if anything can go wrong, it will go wrong. It seems like you can never see the light at the other end. You even start to doubt whether there is a land of paradise on the other side. Maybe someone close to you dies, or you get divorced after 5, 10 or 15 years of marriage, or you're forced to file bankruptcy, or your house is repossessed, or you lose your business. There are all kinds of things that can happen. The point to remember is this: these things seem to happen when you are closer to your goal. If you don't believe me, just ask any successful rhino and they'll surely tell you. You simply need to understand that Murphy number 4 and Murphy number 5 are making one final effort to stop you. They realise you're no fun. They say to themselves eventually, you see this guy or this girl? We've been messing around with him or her for years and they're just not playing. He doesn't seem to understand that he can't get by. So why don't we just leave him alone and go and pick on somebody else? And when that happens, all of a sudden you find yourself in the crystal clear light blue water walking towards the beach. It's the most beautiful sunny day as the sun shimmers on your now nicely clean rhino skin. You walk up the beach where you're greeted with the man or woman of your dreams. You walk together to your limo where your personal chauffeur opens the door and hands you a cool glass of champagne as you settle in the luxurious leather seats and you stretch out in the back. You pull up to your mansion. The driver waits as the tall wrought iron gates slide open and you sweep through and up your long drive. You drive around the beautiful 7-foot water fountain and park outside your front door. Your maid greets you at the door and hands you a freshly brewed cappuccino as you walk through to your sun deck that overlooks the sea. And you relax listening to the sound of the waves breaking below on your beautiful private beach. And at that point, a tear drops down your cheek when you think about where you've been and where you are now. You think of your happy children who are playing on your tennis court. You check your bank account just to be sure, and it's well into the millions. And a peaceful grin comes across your face. And just at that time, the phone rings. And it's an old friend who had the chance to join you and enter the jungle when you did. But he said you were crazy and you'll never make it. And he says, you know, I wish I had. And you sigh and say, you know, I am glad I did. The moral to this story is this: accomplishing your dreams and goals will not be easy, but it will be worth it. There will be many times, when you will just want to quit and give up. These are the times when you must keep pressing forward. Sooner or later, Murphy's committee will get tired of beating you. But until that time comes, you had better have some compelling reasons why you are in that jungle. Because if you don't, I can guarantee you won't make it. You will inevitably be an indistinguishable part of that 97% of our population that retires dead or dead broke. Here is a jungle survival tip. If you're getting chased by a bear when you first enter the jungle, don't quit when you get tired, quit when the bear gets tired. Don't try and negotiate with bears, because bears don't negotiate. They will eat you alive. This is the same with the success that you want to achieve. You have to pay full price and you have to pay in advance. Most people want the reward before they pay the price. And in reality, we just know that that will never work. Get out of the habit of wanting something for nothing. In life, you win some, you lose some, and some get rained out. But you have to suit up for them all. Henry Ford said that failure is the opportunity to begin again more intelligently. Once you reach the other side, you will be surprised at the small price that you actually had to pay. The struggle is worth it because you will be rewarded tenfold. Statistically, only 3% of the population will make it to the other side. But that has no relevance to anyone viewing this video. Statistics are only relevant to the masses. All we need to do is make a decision to be the one who makes it. Remember this as you embark on your journey. Don't ask for it to be easy, ask for it to be worth it. You can pay the price for success, or you can pay the price for failure. But success costs pennies and failure costs millions. I hope you decide to join me in the jungle, and remember, the jungle is where the action is.